The story of Smackdown Live was essentially tag matches, but was the show actually any good? Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack, and today we have got the review of Smackdown Live. Was it as good as Monday Night Raw? We'll find out at the end. We kicked off the show with Eric Rowan. There was a video package of what happened over the previous week, attacking Roman, and then Roman finding out, and then the whole thing with Daniel Bryan. He came out, cut a really, really good promo. He impresses me every week with how well he comes across in promos, and just how slick they are. Like, if this is what he could do all along, why hasn't he been doing it? Like, why have they stopped him from doing promos? But no, he's a fantastic promo. He's fantastic on the mic, and he's come out and said that he has created violence that commands respect. And then he says that there was always a saying that might means right, essentially, or something along those lines, and that because of the violence that he's caused, not only Roman, not only Dan, and the entire SmackDown and Raw locker room know that because of his might, he is right. But it wasn't long before his mate Daniel Bryan, came out and instantly just went, if you command respect, fight me right now. And that's what we did. We got straight into a match. Daniel Bryan versus Eric Rowan. It seems like the old Daniel Bryan is on the verge of making a massive return, if you will. There's still elements that he's not fully face at the moment, but the crowds are all behind him. He had that babyface fire inside of him in this match, but unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. As Eric Rowan picked up the victory, a very, very good victory against Daniel Bryan. It was a pretty long match. It was like 15-20 minute match to kick off the show, which was good, and nothing really went wrong except for the last bit where Daniel Bryan had Eric Rowan in the LeBell lock, and Daniel Bryan had to release the lock because Luke Harper had got to the ropes, essentially. So Daniel Bryan kicked him off the ropes, suicide dives. Luke Harper goes over the announce table, but then jumps straight back up. Daniel Bryan's shocked. He's like, what the hell? How has he jumped straight back up? Anyway, this gave Eric Rowan enough time to recover, grabbed Daniel Bryan for the Iron Claw, and then attempted to lift him from the apron into the ring. But he didn't quite, I don't know whether Daniel Bryan didn't quite jump enough, or he didn't quite have a good enough grip to hoist Daniel Bryan over the ropes, but he picked him up. Daniel Bryan's leg, I think it was his right leg, got caught in the ropes, and as Eric Rowan threw him down for the Iron Claw, because he got caught up in the ropes, he landed pretty nastily on the back of his head. Daniel, he seemed alright. They managed to get him untangled from the ropes. He hit another Iron Claw, Eric Rowan, and that's when he picked up the victory. Afterwards, Rowan and Harper then went to attack Daniel Bryan some more, but only the big dog came out. It was only the big dog came out. Roman Reigns came out. Him and Daniel Bryan fought off both Rowan and Harper. Harper eating a running knee from Bryan, and Rowan eating a spear from Roman. And then after all this occurs, Roman goes to help up Daniel Bryan, and Daniel slaps the hand away from him, which makes me think like he's not fully, like if he was fully face, he would take the hands of Roman, but he swiped it away. So what's going on? He's going to be a face. It's leading to him returning to be a face, but he's not quite there yet. But anyway, he says to the crowd, I only want a one-word answer here. Do you want me and Roman to kick the asses of these two disrespectful, something like that, these two disrespectful asses, or something like that? Crowd obviously chanting yes and whatnot, and it was confirmed later on the night that at Hell in a Cell we will get Eric Rowan and Luke Harper versus Daniel Bryan and Roman, which should be a pretty damn good tag match. And that's, like I said in the intro, this SmackDown was pretty much one big tag match, essentially. And this is where it started off. The tag match was made for Hell in a Cell between these two. And we'll get on to how many other tag matches there were on tonight's show. There was a sit-down interview with Kofi and Michael Cole, a bit like the Michael Cole and Becky Lynch one from yesterday. This was talking about Brock Lesnar last week challenging Kofi, hitting Kofi with the F5. Michael Cole essentially just came out and said, what were you thinking accepting the challenge from Brock Lesnar? Kofi just said that, when he won the title, he said he was going to be a fighting champion, and that is what it's going to be. Someone challenged him, he's going to accept it. Pure and simple. Michael Cole said, how do you prepare for someone like Brock Lesnar? And Kofi said, I don't think he can prepare, but he thinks he's at the top of his game. He's beaten the likes of Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. He said someone else, Dolph Ziggler, and he's at the top of his game, and he feels that he can beat the Beast incarnate. Will he, though? Find out next week. Next week on the premiere, as they've said countless times. This was the last ever show on the USA. It is next week. Next Friday. It's moving to bloody Friday. Smackdown on Fox. Brock Lesnar versus Kofi. There's only really one winner, isn't there? Maybe? Or are they going to shock us? We then had a match between Chad Gable. Obviously, he's on a little bit of a push at the moment versus Mike Kanellis, who's not on a push at all. Chad Gable got on the microphone before the match and said that, yeah, there's been a lot of short jokes going around, but he knows that one thing that wasn't a joke, and that was his run in the King of the Ring. He showed Baron Corbin what he can do, and yesterday he had beaten Baron Corbin essentially until Corbin got himself intentionally disqualified from the match, and Baron Corbin knew that Chad was going to beat him essentially. Mike Kanellis comes out and says that, makes some more short jokes and says that the reason why he's on SmackDown is to show Maria, his wife, that size really does matter. Stupid stuff like this. It was funny to start with, but I know why they're doing it. It's an easy way to get Chad Gable over, because people want to see Chad Gable overcome the odds, underdog story, if you will. Anyway, 20 seconds later, Mike Kanellis was tapping out. The match started. 20 seconds later, Mike Kanellis was tapping out to the ankle lock. So, yeah, pretty simple going there. Our first tag team match of the night saw Charlotte Flair and Carmella go up against Sasha Banks and Bayley. Not really too much to talk about in this match. It was good enough. It was a pretty good match. Nothing went wrong at all. They all flowed quite well. They all got plenty of offense in. Pretty good, if you ask me. A pretty good tag team match. It ended with Sasha Banks tapping out Carmella to the bank statement, but straight away after the match, because obviously Carmella's 24/7 champion now, they suspend the rules during the match. So as soon as the match finishes, R-Truth picks up Carmella, jogs on through the crowd as the whole women's locker room comes out to try and win the 24/7 championship. That leaves Charlotte, Sasha and Bayley all in the ring. A brawl erupts, and there's 3 of the 4 horsewomen in the ring. You might want to get the 4th horsewoman, and that's what happened as Becky Lynch's music hit. She comes down to the ring, fends off both Sasha and Bayley, beats them back up the ramp, and yeah, just like I said, not much to talk about. It's just keeping the feuds ticking over, and it's doing all right at the moment. Next up, Ali versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Not for Nakamura's Intercontinental Championship, I may add. Ali still deserves that shot. He's not going to get it, I don't think. But yeah, in this match, there was a really early suicide dive from Ali, and he was inches away from some serious injury because he jumped onto Nakamura, and if you remember Cesaro onto Sheamus, or when Lita did it onto Trish, and they just land on their head, essentially. It was inches away from Ali doing that, but luckily he looked like he rolled into it, so he rolled into the announce table, essentially, got straight back up, seemed fine, so that is fantastic news. Like I said, he was inches away from causing some serious damage to himself, but luckily he didn't. And then, like previous matches, most matches on this show, there wasn't much to talk about. They were fine matches. They kept feuds ticking over. They were just fine. The ending of this match saw Ali set up for the 0-5-4, but Sami Zayn dragged Shinsuke Nakamura out of the ring, which obviously pissed Ali off a little bit. Suicide dive again onto both Shinsuke and Sami. He then chased Sami around the ring and then into the ring, only to be met by the Kinshasa from Shinsuke Nakamura, and Nakamura picks up the win over Ali via pinfall. Like I said, decent enough match, kept the feud ticking over, gets these people on TV, it's fine. Another tag team match up next, we had the New Day versus the B Team. It was a squash match. Yes, New Day beating the B Team. Squash match is a bit harsh because the B Team got a little bit of offense, and we even got I think it was the debut, I'm not too sure, of the B Train. You know that when Bo Dallas ran around like that, they both do it now. Big E joined in, and then they destroyed them essentially. So New Day squash the B Team. And then the last match of the evening, we've already had 2 tag team matches. We've already set up 1 tag team match. We might as well have another one. The Kabuki Warriors versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Once again, it was fine. Nothing went wrong. It was completely fine. Kabuki Warriors back on TV, finally, and they got a much needed win over Rose and Deville in this one. The focus is more on Mandy Rose being on the front cover of a magazine. I can't remember what it was called. I didn't write it down in my notes. But she was flaunting around the magazine that she's on the cover of. That obviously distracted her a little bit. Kairi Sane hit the insane elbow onto Mandy Rose, picking up the victory. Sonya Deville looking obviously pissed off that once again they've lost after Clash of Champions, where they lost to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Obviously picking up another loss here, but like I said, a much needed win for the Kabuki Warriors as they try and regain some relevancy, I guess you can say, in the women's tag division. I don't get, like, Asuka and Kairi are 2 fantastic wrestlers, and they just don't use them at all. And I don't, especially in a women's division that, you know, need tag teams, they just don't really use them. So it's a shame, but they got the win. They got the TV time this week. Fingers crossed they can push on from here. We then had 2 last finishing promo-y bits, I guess you can say. The first one was Shane McMahon. He came down to the ring, so I guess you could say this was like the proper main event, if you will. Obviously, Kabuki Warriors, Mandy and Sonya were the main event in terms of matches, but we still had all this business to deal with. Shane McMahon came out with his team of lawyers, I guess you could say his legal team, and they were talking about the lawsuits that KO had put onto Shane McMahon, the £25 million wrongful dismissal lawsuit. Shane invites KO down to the ring. Obviously, KO comes from the crowd. He's still fired. You can't come out from the back if you're fired, mate. So Shane McMahon, I don't know why he was pointing up to the ramp, but KO comes from behind him through the crowd. You know, good continuation of a story there. Nice one. Shane McMahon says to KO that he's got 2 options, basically. Option 1 was that they can go through court. Shane will keep Kevin Owens in court for years to come, having KO spend millions of dollars on lawyers, etc., court fees and whatnot. You know, appeal after appeal because of just the resources that Shane McMahon has, basically. Or option 2, KO drops the lawsuit, he gets his job back, and the 100k fine that was placed onto Kevin Owens gets wiped away as well. And, you know, 2 options. Kevin Owens obviously doesn't pick either of these options and goes, Shane, you're an idiot. You know that. You're just an idiot. KO said that the lawsuit was never about money. It was only about getting an upper hand on Shane, getting the leverage over Shane, getting under Shane's skin. And that the reason why he started all this was for one thing, and that was for him and the whole WWE universe, if you will, to finally get rid of Shane McMahon. KO then has a proposition of himself and says that why don't they have one last match to see, to finally settle this. It's going to be a ladder match with a briefcase hanging over the ring, and if Shane McMahon wins, then KO will give Shane McMahon what he wants. He will drop the lawsuit against him. He will then leave the company and never to be seen again. But if KO wins, then Shane McMahon will have to leave WWE for good. For good. It's not confirmed whether Shane accepted the challenge, but it's not confirmed whether it's going to be happening maybe next week on Smackdown at Hell in a Cell, maybe. Obviously, with a gimmick pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell, is it right to have a ladder match on there? That's why I don't like gimmick pay-per-views. We don't know when it's going to happen yet, but it should be Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon in a ladder match. Whoever loses, it's like a loser leaves town match, essentially. So that should be pretty good. But then we ended the night with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch having a little scrap backstage. Basically, Becky Lynch was in an interview talking about Hell in a Cell and how Sasha Banks already been in a Hell in a Cell match with Charlotte a few years back. And basically, Becky was replying to that. Sasha Banks comes out of nowhere, attacks Becky Lynch, puts her face in a fence grill, I guess you can say, something similar to what the Hell in a Cell is. And then keeps on saying that this is my women's division, I'm the star of this women's division, you're a nobody, Becky, etc., etc. And we fade away, fade into black. Talking about fading into black, where is Aleister Black? Where's he been? And that's the end of SmackDown, like I said. We fade into black. The last shot we see is Becky Lynch on the floor in pain. And that's SmackDown. It was an okay SmackDown. Like I said, most of the matches, there was nothing to talk about, really, in the matches. They were all fine matches. They all did their job, I guess you could say. Obviously, we do the star ratings. I rated Raw 3.5 stars yesterday. I think we'll go like a 3.25 star today with SmackDown. It was good flowing viewing, I guess you can say, but nothing really of major occurrence except for, I guess you could say, the tag team match with Rowan, Harper, Roman and Daniel Bryan, and then the potential match between KO and Shane. But other than that, I think everything else just ticked feuds on nicely. No real progression. It's just another week. This feud's happening. There we go. Don't forget the combination of this feud's going to be ending soon. There will be a match at some point. Essentially, that's what I can work with. So a decent enough SmackDown, but I think they didn't want to go too much because obviously next week's the debut on Fox. They want to, kind of, I would assume, chuck everything at that. But that was SmackDown Live. Like I said, I don't think it was as good as Raw, but both shows were pretty decent. It's time to plug stuff, isn't it? Time to plug stuff. Twitter at BadBookersWB, Facebook, Instagram, search Bad Bookers and you'll find us there. All the links to that are in the description, as well as a link to our website, badbookers.com, and our Patreon is almost always down there as well. If you want to support us, we have people supporting us in any kind of way, which is awesome to see. But if you do want to, financially support us as well, I guess that's a way of putting it. That'll be greatly appreciated. No pressure for anyone to do so, but the option is there because we always get people asking how can we donate to stuff and whatnot. And while you're here as well, why not subscribe? Turn that bell notification thing on if you want to. And like the video as well. Comment down below on what you thought of SmackDown Live. Did you prefer Raw, SmackDown, what? And I shall see you tomorrow for our second NXT in a week. Wow, full week of reviews now. Incredible stuff. And then obviously NXT will be the last review of the week. And then next week it would all change because obviously SmackDown is moving to Friday. So the videos will come out. So Tuesday would be Raw review. Thursday will be NXT review. And then Saturday will be SmackDown review. Saturday's going to be a bit of it might be Saturday or Sunday SmackDown review. I can't, because weekends are a bit dodgy for me. But we'll get there. I'm sure I'll sort something out. But yeah, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Check our social medias down below. And I shall see you tomorrow for NXT. Thank you very much for watching.